Laudetur Jesus Christus. Welcome to Vatican News' ongoing coverage of Pope Francis's trip to Chile and Peru. I'm Mary Shevlin. We're here at the National Shrine of Our Lady of Carmel in Maipú here in Santiago, Chile, where Pope Francis has just arrived, having gone throughout the crowds in the famous Pope Mobile, greeting all of the young people, thousands of them that have come here. This is a special meeting of Pope Francis with them. This is when the Pope says he feels the most young of all, is when he's surrounded by these beautiful young people. We're here at the Shrine of Our Lady of Maipú, this very important shrine for the people here in Chile. Our Lady of Carmel is the patroness and the Queen of Chile, and so it's dear to these young people and to the entire nation. They're going to celebrate 200 years for this shrine this year, so it's doubly special for everyone gathered here today. There's young people from all over Chile, but also from the surrounding countries who have come to be here. The Holy Father is going to address them, and we have to remember that later this year is also the Synod here in Rome for young people, and that is for youth worldwide. So the Church, Pope Francis wanted the bishops to get together for their next meeting, which they call a Synod, and he wanted them to all talk about young people, how they are, how the Church can reach out to them, their special contribution that they have to make to the Church. So that's coming up later this year in October in Rome. So this meeting today will certainly get the young people thinking about that and celebrating Pope Francis here in their midst. We see the faces of the young people. They've been gathered here for hours. Pope Francis just landed about an hour ago. He had a long day full of appointments, and actually took a plane this morning and went to celebrate Mass just south of here, and celebrated Mass with in Temuco, which is the capital of Araucania, the region in south central Chile. And a third of the population there is ethnic Mapuche. It's the country's largest indigenous group. So Pope Francis flew down there, celebrated Mass with them, and had lunch with some of the inhabitants there. About 250,000 came for the Mass, and he was able to lunch with a smaller group, about 10 or so. Many of those people for that Mass arrived at 2 a.m. just to be near. And so Pope Francis just landed back in Santiago and came directly here to be with the young people after this meeting. We'll be bringing this to you live, of course, and after this meeting, of course, stay tuned. The Holy Father will be going to the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile to address members of the academic world. So we have two important appointments here this evening. Pope Francis, this is his last full day here in Chile. Tomorrow he'll be heading for the second leg of this trip to Peru. And we'll be bringing you most of these events live here on Vatican News. Again, if you want to find out what you've missed, please go to www.vaticannews.va. We have it all there for you. Articles, video, this trip step by step. You can find everything there. And our thanks again to our colleagues who are on the ground working so hard to bring this all to you. Pope Francis greeting some of the special guests here this evening. Again, this is a meeting especially for young people. We're at the Maipú Shrine, where a statue of Our Lady of Carmel is one of the two most important statues in the entire country. Pope Francis going up on the main stage right there by Our Lady. We see Our Lady there. We recall that yesterday he crowned the statue, blessed crowns for the statue of Our Lady and the child Jesus on her lap in that statue. Pope Francis himself, of course, having a very deep Marian devotion. He brings Our Lady flowers before and after every trip at the Basilica of Mary Major in Rome. So he very much encourages us all to do the same. And what a special place here in Santiago at the Shrine of Our Lady of Mount Carmel to come to Our Lady's feet and to be here with all these young people. Pope Francis holding up a cross. All of the young people have one as well. The cross that shows that we are followers of Christ. And the cross will figure prominently in today's celebration.
Que su santidad venía a nuestro encuentro, nos sentimos gozosos con la noticia, como Juan Bautista cuando saltó en el vientre de su madre.
This is Ariel Rojas, a young man from here in Santiago who is greeting the Holy Father on behalf of all of the young people. He said, "Dear Pope Francis, when we learned that Your Holiness was coming to meet us, we were happy about the news, like John the Baptist when he leapt in the womb of his mother Elizabeth when the Virgin Mary visited her. An expression of that joy is that today we are united with all of Chile, celebrating and proclaiming a living Christ who is present in each one of us by sheer grace."
En su apretada agenda para encontrarse con nosotros, el mundo juvenil. En especial en este tiempo.
Your visit, dear Pope Francis, is very good for us and for many things that are happening in our country in the life of the church here. But first of all, thank you for making space in your busy schedule to meet with us, the youth, especially in this time before the Synod of Bishops that will focus on us, the youth. In the second place, Holy Father, we are living a pre-synodal moment in all the dioceses of the country, responding to our pastors who have invited us to walk together. You have said many times that young people must be the protagonists of change, of a more just society, with concern for the weak and appreciation for the value of life. Young people who can experience the love of God in each brother and sister, those born in our country or born on the other side of the world. Young people who can denounce injustice and who commit themselves to a better world with a joy that does not end. And that is renewed every day because it is God Himself who waters the plant of faith. On this afternoon, dear Pope Francis, you are undoubtedly in a different Chile than the one that received Pope John Paul II 30 years ago. But I'm sure that there is something that has not changed, and that is the care and affection we have for Your Holiness. Because we Chileans, young people, children, adults, and the elderly, recognize in you a model of life, a model of love, a model of the living Christ. As we want to rely on your wisdom and leadership for a long time, I want to ask all the youth present here to pray for you. We want to sustain you in the faith so that you always can carry out your ministry. And know that there is a country, long and narrow, with a diversity of people and climates, that will not leave you alone, and that will be a support for you when you feel exhausted by the infinite tasks of the successor of Peter, the Pope, our Pope. And that was Ariel Rojas, speaking on behalf of all of the young people here, thanking Pope Francis for making time in his busy schedule here to meet with them. And he wouldn't miss it, of course, for the world.
Querido Papa Francisco, somos jóvenes que queremos encontrarnos con Jesús. Estamos llenos de esperanza y nos sentimos llamados.
Dear Pope Francis, we want to be with Christ. We want to show you our love for you. We're showing you the cross that recalls our country, that we work together to create a country that is. We present you the cross of Chile, which represents our country and reminds us of our promise to build each day a more just and united country. The blue color signifies our longing for heaven. The red signifies our longing for, recalls the blood that Christ shed on the cross and the covenant he has with each one of us. The star symbolizes our mother, the Virgin, Maria del Carmen, Our Lady of Carmel. Holy Father, when you place the red ribbon on the cross, we will remember the covenant with the Lord Jesus and be witnesses of Christ's love, which inspires us to work to build a better Chile. Young people having presented a cross, which is a symbol that they have for the upcoming synod that we mentioned would take place in Rome in October, a synod of the world's bishops focusing on the youth. We hear the chant going up, esta es la juventud del Papa. This is the youth of the Pope.
Estaba Juan Bautista con dos de sus discípulos y mirando a Jesús que pasaba, dijo, este es el Cordero de Dios.
This is a reading from the Gospel of John. The next day, again, John was standing with two of his disciples, and he looked at Jesus as he walked and said, "Behold the Lamb of God." The two disciples heard him say this, and they followed Jesus. Jesus turned and saw them following and said to them, "What do you seek?" And they said, "Rabbi," which means teacher, "where are you staying?" He said to them, "Come and see." They came and saw where he was staying, and they stayed with him that day, for it was about the 10th hour. One of the two who heard John speak and followed him was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. He first found his brother Simon and said to him, "We have found the Messiah," which means Christ. He brought him to Jesus. Jesus looked at him and said, "So you are Simon the son of John. You shall be called Cephas," which means Peter, rock. Holy Father will now address the young people gathered. We had the presentation of the cross on behalf of the young people. We heard this passage from the Gospel of John. And now we'll hear from Pope Francis.
Yo también, Ariel, estoy gozoso de estar con ustedes. Gracias por tus palabras.
I'm happy to be with you. Thank you for your words and the welcome in the name of all present. I am the one who is grateful for being able to share this time with you.
Se bajaron del sofá y se pusieron los zapatos. Gracias.
He's talking about a writing, a graffiti that he saw on the way in.
que nos ayudemos.
For me, it is very important for us to meet and walk with one another for a while.
Es importante.
Let's help each other to keep looking ahead. Thank you.
Me alegra que este encuentro
I'm
se
happy
realice aquí, en Maipú.
that this meeting is taking place here in Maipú,
Tierra
in this land
donde con un abrazo de fraternidad se fundó la historia.
where the history of Chile began with a fraternal embrace.
En este santuario que se levanta en el cruce de los
In this shrine that rises at the crossroads of north and south,
del océano
that joins the snow and the
y
sea,
la tierra, tengan un hogar. Hogar para Chile, hogar para ustedes, queridos jóvenes.
and is a home to both heaven and earth, a home for Chile, a home for you, dear young people, where Our Lady of Carmel
Acompañó el nacimiento
waits for you and welcomes you with an open heart, just as she accompanied the birth of this nation and has accompanied so many Chileans over the span of these 200 years.
los sueños
So too,
que Dios,
she wants to keep accompanying the dreams that God places in your hearts,
sueños de alegría,
dreams of freedom, dreams of joy, dreams of a better future.
como decías vos, Ariel, de ser protagonista del cambio, ser protagonista.
To be protagonists.
La Virgen del Carmen los acompaña para que sean los protagonistas del Chile
The desire, as you said, Ariel, to be protagonists of change. Our Lady of Carmel accompanies you so that you can be protagonists for the Chile of which your hearts dream.
de los jóvenes chilenos,
I know that the hearts of young Chileans dream,
no solo cuando están
and that they
curaditos, no,
dream big dreams, not only when they've had a few too much to drink, but they dream always.
han nacido experiencias que se fueron expandiendo y multiplicando.
For these lands have given rise to these experiences that spread and multiply across the different countries of our continent.
Jóvenes como ustedes, que se animaron a vivir la aventura de la fe, porque la fe provoca en los jóvenes sentimientos.
Who inspired these dreams? It was young people like yourselves who were inspired to experience the adventure of faith. For faith stirs up in young people feelings of adventure, an adventure that beckons them to traverse unbelievable landscapes, rough and tough terrain.
Bájenlo rápido, así podemos seguir. Ustedes que son especialistas, y le ponen los zapatos.
Holy Father's talking about
Es más, se aburren cuando no tienen deseo.
talking about a writing he saw on the way in about somebody who got off the
Por ejemplo, cada vez
couch and put their shoes on.
catástrofe natural. Tienen una capacidad enorme para movilizarse que habla de
Holy Father is saying that they often have to cross rough terrain, but he said, you're young people, you like those challenges.
por esta referencia a la patria. Porque el camino hacia adelante, los sueños que tienen que ser concretados, el mirar siempre hacia el horizonte,
The journey towards
con los pies en la tierra.
going forward
Se empieza con los pies en la tierra de la patria. Y si ustedes
starts with our feet on the ground
yo no les creo
in our
que
own
lleguen a
countries.
Jesús y que lleguen a amar a Dios. Porque
And if you don't love your own country, you won't be able to love Jesus.
el amor a la patria,
Love for one's country
amor a la madre, la llamamos
and a love for one's mother,
patria, porque aquí nacimos. Pero
mother
ella
and
misma,
country,
como toda madre,
because
nos
we're born
enseña a
here.
caminar y se nos entrega para que la hagamos.
She teaches us to walk. The mom teaches us to walk and teaches us to dream and to speak and to survive.
De la madre y de la madre patria.
And so I wanted to begin with this reference to mother and one's mother land.
No van a hacer nada en la vida. Quieran a su tierra, chicas y chicos. Quieran a su Chile. Den lo mejor.
Nationalists can't be good. They can't be good countrymen. Give the best of yourselves for your country.
En mi trabajo como obispo,
In my ministry as a bishop,
que hay muchas,
I've been able to see that there are many many good ideas in the hearts and minds of young people. It's true. Young people are restless. They are seekers, idealists. You know who doesn't have any problems? We adults have the problems. And we discover this restlessness of young people when we meet with that restlessness. Like, well, they only say those things or think like that because they're young. They still have to grow up. And then they lose this idealism.
Se esconde el tácito, ya se va a corromper. Cuidado con eso. Madurar es crecer y hacer crecer los sueños y hacer crecer las ilusiones. No bajar la guardia.
Holy Father, making reference to how we can't be taken over by disillusionment, not to give in to that. And when adults think like that, everything is lost.
Pareciera que en esta ya va a madurar de nosotros los grandes, donde parece que le tiráramos una frazada mojada encima para hacerlos callar. Se escondiera que madurar es aceptar la injusticia.
If growing up means accepting injustice, believing that nothing can be done, that this is the way things have always been, we'll never change because we say, well, everything's always been like this. This is corruption. True maturity, true growing is following one's dreams. Discussing, but always looking forward, not lowering your gaze, not denying your dreams. Is that clear?
Teniendo en cuenta toda esta realidad de los jóvenes, es porque
Keeping in mind this great loyalty of young people,
lo que
that I want to say that
saquen a esta hermana nuestra que se descompuso y la acompañamos con una pequeña oración para que se reponga enseguida.
Holy Father, realizing that somebody in the crowd is feeling unwell and that is being accompanied to receive care and has asked us all to pray for them.
Y es por esto, en realidad, de ustedes, los jóvenes, es que voy a hacer lo que Ariel anunció.
Keeping in mind this reality of young people, I wanted to call the Synod
Y además el encuentro de jóvenes, porque el sí
about faith and discernment in your lives. The Synod will be done by the bishops thinking about the young people.
a veces las opiniones de los jóvenes para viajar a Roma tienen que hacer varias conexiones y esas propuestas pueden llegar muy filtradas, no por las compañías aéreas, sino por los que las transcriben. Por eso antes
The Holy Father expressing the fact that the Synod will be carried out by the bishops and is afraid of filters coming between the true voices of the young people and the results of the Synod, and he wants their voices to be heard. It's for Catholic young people and non-Catholic, for Christian young people and also those of other religions.
y jóvenes que no saben si creen o no creen. Todo.
And also young people who aren't sure what they believe, to listen to them, to listen to one another directly, because this is important, and it's important that you change and you understand.
Nos toca el ayudarlos a que sean coherentes con lo que dicen. Ese trabajo que los vamos a ayudar.
We need to help you to be coherent, but this doesn't, but if you don't speak to us, how can we help you? You have to speak with courage. Tell us what you feel. And this is what we'll be able to do in this week of meetings before Palm Sunday. So this meeting that will take place in Rome, this pre-synod meeting, and he really wants the young people to say what they think. To help keep the church's young face. One young person said, I don't know whether to speak about Holy Mother Church or the Holy Grandmother. No. The church has to have a young face. But a real face. Not because of magical facial creams, but because from the depths of the heart, she lets herself be called by God, touched by God. Today, Holy Mother Church needs you. And then we'll prepare a response. But the church needs you.
Espiritualmente mayores y tengan el coraje de decirnos esto me gusta, este camino me parece que es
have the courage to tell us this works, this isn't working, this way works, this way isn't good. And you need to tell us what you feel, what you think. This is the work that you need to do in your group meetings. In the Synod, there will be groups there that represent all of you, and they will take all of this in, gather all of this information. But you have to give them all this information, everything that's in your heart. The church in Chile needs you to help us to be closer to Jesus, to move us. This is what we're asking. That you shake the ground beneath our feet and help us draw closer to Jesus. Your questions, your wanting to know, your desire to be generous are all necessary for us to draw closer to Jesus. All of us are invited ever anew to draw nearer to Jesus. If this meeting doesn't help us to be closer to you, we're just going to waste this time. After all these hours of preparation, if it doesn't help us to be closer to Jesus, it will be wasted time and closer to you. Let us look to the Mother, each one in his own heart, to our Mother Mary. And let us say to her, who was the first disciple of Jesus, to help us to be closer to Jesus, each one of us in our heart.
Y déjenme contarles una anécdota. Charlando un día con un joven,
Let me share a story with you. Chatting one day with a young man, I asked him what sort of things made him unhappy.
porque el contexto se daba para hacer esa pregunta. Y él me dijo, cuando
And he said,
se le acaba la batería,
when my cell phone battery runs down, or I lose my internet connection. And I asked him, why? And he said, Father, it's simple.
todo lo que está pasando,
I miss out on everything that's going on. I'm shut off from the world, stuck.
salgo corriendo a buscar un cargador,
In those moments,
WIFI, y la
I jump up and run to find a charger or a Wi-Fi network and a password to reconnect.
esa respuesta me enseñó
This answer made me think
nos puede pasar lo mismo.
that the same thing can happen with our faith.
La fe se renueva.
We're all enthusiastic, and or we like hearing a homily, or even when the Pope visits. This is all very exciting. But after we begin our journey, there will be moments without realizing it, where our bandwidth starts to diminish, so to say, starts to fade, and we lose our connection, our power. We lose our connection with Jesus.
Y empezamos a quedarnos sin conexión, sin batería. Y entonces nos gana el mal humor. Nos volvemos
Then we become unhappy.
tristes.
We lose our faith. We become depressed, listless,
Empezamos a ver mal.
and we start to view everything in a bad light.
Sin esta conexión, que es la que le da vida a nuestro
When we lack the connection that charges our dreams, our hearts begin to falter. When our batteries are
esa canción,
dead, we feel the way, as the song says, the background noise and the loneliness of the city cut us off from everything.
en él, ahogándome.
The world turns backwards, trying to overwhelm me and drown all my thoughts and ideas.
Contesta adentro.
Has that ever happened to you?
Vergüenza a los que no le pasó. A mí me pasó.
It's happened to me.
Sin conexión. Sin la
Without a
conexión con
connection,
Jesús.
a connection to Jesus,
Sin esta conexión,
without this
terminamos
connection,
ahogando nuestras ideas, ahogando nuestros
we end up
sueños,
drowning our thoughts and ideas, our dreams, our
nos llenamos de
faith.
mal humor, de
And so we
protagonistas
get
que lo somos
frustrated
y lo
and
queremos ser.
annoyed. As protagonists, which we are and we want to be,
Hacer algo,
we can get to the point of feeling that it makes no difference whether or not we do anything.
el joven pesimista.
The pessimistic young person.
Estas cosas sabemos cómo terminan. El mundo no cambia
We know how it's going to turn out. What's the point?
y anda para adelante. Y quedamos desconectados de la realidad y de lo que está pasando en el mundo.
We remain disconnected from what's going on in the world, shut off from the world.
En mi mundito, donde estoy tranquilo, en mi sofá. Ahí. Me preocupa
It worries me
la señal. Muchos sienten que no tienen nada que aportar.
that once they have lost their connection, many young people
No, mira, esto es un desastre. Yo trato de
think they have nothing to offer. They feel lost, but you have something to offer.
casarme, pero
You
basta,
can study, get a degree, you can get married.
todo mal. Eso es cuando se pierde la conexión. Nunca pienses que no
When
tienes
you lose the connection, you think you have
que no le haces
anything to offer,
de hacer
and you don't need anyone. Sometimes people think that way.
pensarlo. Cada uno de ustedes
You need a lot of
piensa en el
people.
corazón. Yo le hago falta.
Each one of you knows that in your hearts.
Ese pensamiento, como le gustaba decir a Hurtado,
That thought,
es el consejo del diablo.
as Saint Hurtado said, he used to say,
Que quiere hacerte
that
sentir
is the
que no
voice of the devil,
nada. Pero para dejarlo,
who wants to make you
por eso
feel you are worthless and to keep things the way they are. All of us are necessary and important.
es el joven, uno de ustedes. Nosotros ya
All of us has something to offer because the only ones who can change things are you, the young people.
y gracias.
Thank you.
Paréntesis, porque estos desmayos son un signo de lo que están sintiendo muchos de ustedes. ¿Desde qué hora están acá? ¿Me lo dicen? Gracias, gracias.
He's talking about how a young woman fainted, and that can happen because you guys have been here for a long time.
Y todos tenemos algo que aportar.
We are all necessary and important. All of us have something to offer.
Se pregunta cada uno, En serio, mírense en
In a
su corazón.
moment of silence, one asks in their own heart,
Aportar en la vida.
what can I give
¿Y cuántos de
in
ustedes
life? What can I contribute? How many of you
las ganas de decir, no sé,
feel
no sabés lo que tenés para aportar?
the temptation to say, I don't
Si
know.
no lo conocés, apurate a encontrarlo
You have it within you and you do not know it.
para aportar. El mundo te necesita, la patria te necesita, la
The
sociedad.
world needs you. Your country and society needs you.
Pierdas la conexión.
You have something to give. Don't lose connection.
Los
Don't
jóvenes del
lose your
Evangelio que
connection.
escuchamos hoy querían
The young people in the gospel we heard today wanted that connection to help them keep the flame alive in their hearts.
Esos jóvenes que estaban ahí con Juan Bautista querían saber
They
cómo
wanted to know how to charge the power cells of their heart.
Andrés y el otro discípulo que no dice el nombre y podemos pensar
They wanted to know how to, Andrew and the other disciple, whose name is not given,
buscaban la
so we can imagine that each one of us is that other disciple.
que es camino,
We were
verdad y vida.
looking for the password to connect with the one who is the way, the truth, and the life.
Creo que ustedes tienen un gran santo que les pueda ser de guía.
It was John the Baptist who showed them the way. I believe that you too have a great saint who can be your guide, a saint who made his life into a song. I am happy, Lord, I am happy.
Una regla
Alberto Hurtado has the golden rule,
corazón con ese
a rule for setting his heart
de mantener
ablaze with the fire that keeps joy alive.
porque Jesús es ese fuego.
Jesus is that fire.
Cerca queda encendido.
Everyone who draws near to it is set ablaze.
Para reconectar, para mantener la señal es muy simple.
Saint Hurtado's password was quite simple. If your phones are turned on, I would like you to key this in.
En el teléfono, a ver.
Put this in your phone, he says.
Yo se la dicto. Hurtado se pregunta,
Saint Hurtado asked,
¿qué haría
Write this
Cristo
down.
en mi lugar?
what would Christ do in my
¿Qué
place?
haría Cristo en mi lugar?
What would Christ
¿Qué
do?
haría Cristo en mi lugar en la escuela, en la universidad?
What would Christ do at school, at the university, outdoors, at home, among friends,
Frente al que le hacen
at
bullying?
work, when
¿Qué
taunted?
haría Cristo en mi lugar?
What would Christ do in my
Cuando
place?
salen a bailar, cuando están
When you go
haciendo deporte,
dancing, when you are playing, or watching
¿qué
sports,
haría Cristo en mi lugar?
what would Jesus do in my place? Here's the password,
La batería
the
para
power
encender
source
nuestro corazón,
that charges our hearts,
encender la fe,
ignites our faith,
encender la chispa en los ojos.
and makes our eyes sparkle.
Eso es ser protagonistas de la
This is what it means to be a protagonist of history.
Porque descubrimos que Jesús
Our eyes sparkle, for we have discovered that Jesus is the source of life and joy.
porque
Protagonists of history,
contagiar
for we wish to pass on that sparkle
corazones apagados.
to hearts that have grown so cold and gloomy that they have forgotten
Olvidaron de lo que es esperar.
what it means to hope.
Los que son fomes y espera que alguien los invite y los desafíe con algo que valga la pena. Ser protagonistas
To all those hearts that are deadened and wait for someone to come and challenge them with something worthwhile.
y a la hora que te encuentres.
Being protagonists means doing what Jesus did. Wherever you are and with whomever you're with, and whenever you get together, what would Jesus do? The only way not to forget a password is by
De no olvidarse de la contraseña,
the only way not to forget the password
usarla.
is by using it.
Si no, no va a pasar. Claro, esto es de mi época, no de la de ustedes, pero por ahí saben algo. Lo que le pasó a los tres chiflados en aquel film, que arman un asalto, un
He's talking about a film,
puerto, todo pensado, todo, y cuando llegan se olvidaron
a robbery.
de la contraseña, se olvidaron de la clave. Si
They
no
took the
usan la
safe, but they forgot the combination.
olvidar, cárguenla en el corazón. ¿Cómo era la contraseña?
What was that password again? What would Jesus do?
Esa es la corta seña. Repitan.
That's the password. Repeat it. Use it.
¿Qué haría Cristo en mi lugar?
What would Christ do in my place?
Usarla todos los días. Llegará el momento
Use it day after day. The time will come when you know it by heart, and the day will come when, without realizing it,
en que sin darse cuenta
the day will come when, without realizing it, your heart
como el corazón de Jesús.
will beat like Jesus' heart.
No basta con escuchar alguna enseñanza religiosa o
It's not enough to
lo que queremos es vivir como Jesús vivió.
listen to teaching or learn an answer from the catechism.
Jesús a mi vida. Por eso los jóvenes del Evangelio le preguntan, Señor, ¿dónde vives? Lo escucho.
We want to live the way Jesus lived. To do that, the young people in the gospel asked, Lord, where do you live? How do you live?
Él sí.
We want to live like Jesus with that yes that thrills our hearts.
Hace vibrar el corazón y te pone en el camino del riesgo. Arriesgarse, correr riesgos.
To put oneself on the line, to run risks.
Queridos amigos,
Dear friends,
sean valientes.
be courageous.
Salgan al tiro al encuentro de sus amigos, de aquellos
Go out straight away to meet your friends,
que están en un momento.
people you don't know,
Y vayan con la única
or those
promesa que
having troubles.
en medio del
Go
desierto
out
del camino
with the only promise we have, that wherever you are,
existirá un cargador.
there will always be connected. There will always be a power source. We will never be alone.
Y de su madre.
We will always enjoy the company of Jesus, his mother, and a community. Certainly a community that is not perfect,
Que no tenga
but that doesn't mean
y para dar
that it does not have much to love and to give to others. What is that password again?
Va bien, todavía
What would Christ do in my place? Good, good. But remember it, okay? Don't forget it. Dear friends, dear young people,
sean ustedes, se los pido por favor, sean ustedes
I ask you, please,
samaritanos
please be young Samaritans
a nadie tirado
who never walk past someone lying on the roadside.
en el corazón. Otra pregunta. ¿Alguna vez abandoné a alguien,
And in your hearts, ask this question.
un pariente, un amigo, amiga?
If there's a relative or a friend,
Sean samaritanos, nunca abandonen al hombre tirado en el camino. Sean ustedes
be Samaritans, do not leave their brethren in need.
ayudan a Cristo a llevar
Be young Simons of Cyrene who help Christ carry his cross and alleviate the sufferings
sus hermanos.
of your brothers and sisters.
Sean como Saqueo,
Be like Zacchaeus,
que transformó
Who
su enanismo espiritual
transformed himself, his heart, from materialism,
Jesús transformara su corazón materialista
who transformed his materialistic heart
solidario.
to one of solidarity.
Sean como la joven Magdalena,
Be like young Mary Magdalene,
del amor que solo en Jesús encuentra
passionately seeking love,
las respuestas que necesita.
who finds in Jesus alone the answers she needs.
Tengan el corazón de Pedro,
Have the heart of Peter,
las redes junto al lago.
so that you can abandon your nets
Tengan el cariño de
beside the lake.
para
Have the love of John,
todos sus afectos,
so that you can rest all your concerns upon him.
la disponibilidad de nuestra madre, la primera discípula,
Have the
estar con vos,
openness of our mother, the first disciple, so that you can sing for joy and do God's will.
queridos amigos.
Dear friends,
Me gustaría quedarme más tiempo,
I would like to have stayed longer,
Los que tienen teléfono, agárrenlo en la mano.
You have your
Es un signo.
telephone in your hands. Keep it. It's a sign. But don't forget the password. What's that password again?
Así reconectan. Y no
In
se
this
quedan
way,
fuera de
you
barco.
remain connected,
Me gustaría quedarme más tiempo.
and you'll never be without a signal. Thank you for this meeting
La alegría de ustedes.
and for your joy.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Y
Thank you very
les pido,
much.
Por favor, que no se olviden de rezar por mí.
And I ask you one favor. Please remember to pray for me. Thank you.
Porque traigo una gran inquietud.
What is the password? If we've forgotten it, then we didn't do our jobs here at our meeting with Pope Francis. Using the analogy of a cell phone and our relationship with Christ, he said, remember what the password is to remain connected to Christ and to be a good Christian. What would Christ do in my place? He said, at school, at university, when we're outside, when we're at home, when we're with our friends, at work, or when anyone taunts us, what would Christ do in my place? And Pope Francis continued to ask them repeatedly, did you forget? What's the password? What's the password? The Holy Father will invite us in just a few seconds to pray together the Our Father. You're all, of course, invited to pray that with us, all of you following along. And then he'll give the blessing which extends to all of you, TV, radio, social media, however you're joining this ceremony today.
Nuestras manos,
Let us raise our hands and our
que
hearts
elevemos nuestros corazones a nuestro Padre del cielo.
to our Father in heaven.
Él escucha nuestras súplicas.
He listens to our prayers
Juntos, Padre nuestro,
as we say, Our Father.
hágase tu voluntad como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. Porque tuyo es el poder, el honor y la gloria por los siglos de los siglos.
Levantemos nuestras cruces.
And this is the blessing.
Con esto tengo que dar la bendición. Señor, esté con ustedes. La bendición de Dios Todopoderoso, del Padre y del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo, descienda sobre ustedes y permanezca para siempre. Amén.
Holy Father, blessing the crowds with the cross that the young people have prepared for the synod, that will be their symbol for the synod.
Esta para que
The Holy Father is now taking a rosary that he has brought, a gold rosary, which he will gift to Our Lady, the statue of Our Lady. They're having a bit of a time getting it out of the case.
Juntos en el camino tendremos la mano para servir a Chile.
Y antes de irme, ¿cómo era la contraseña?
Wait, I want to ask you one more time. What's the password?
Gracias.
Thank you. Pope Francis, in another unscripted moment from today's gathering, reminding us not to forget the password. He's always full of surprises.
Este es el coro del Papa. Este es el coro del Papa. Este es.
Pope Francis making his way off the stage now as today's meeting with the young people gathered here in Santiago comes to a close. This was the most unscripted we've seen Pope Francis be so far in this trip. We're not even about halfway through yet with his trip here in Chile, and of course the next leg will be in Peru, and he certainly spoke from the heart here to the young people, asking them to think about how to stay connected. What would Jesus do to have that always in their hearts and in their minds, and not to be pessimistic. He said that's something that for the adults to do, unfortunately. He said, young people, if things are going to change, it's up to you. And he reminded them about the synod coming up later this year and the meeting, the pre-synod meeting that will take place before Palm Sunday, and said, if you don't tell us what you think and what you would like to see change, or what's in your hearts, we won't know. So please, speak to us and your pastors and let us know. That wraps up the meeting with Pope Francis with the young people. After this, we'll be heading over to Pontifical Catholic University of Chile. That's happening here shortly, so stay tuned. We'll come back with that in just a few moments.
Que se escuche, esta es. Porque tenemos los pies en la tierra, porque nos aprendimos la contraseña del Santo Padre,